So, when we have a study of something new that is very, very hugely changing and shifting to the observer, sometimes what happens when there's a saturation is that the person cannot handle anymore because they are not able to map it in the cortex fast enough because you're processing a very fast processor that does camera eye and it wants all the information to be mapped in the cerebral cortex as well. And when it's saturated so much that you begin to say, I don't want to, or I'm scared everything's changing too fast. And what will happen is you'll go off and sleep and not know why you're so tired and then get up and you're okay and everything seems brighter. And the information is mapping, you see? And then you go and study more. And after you do this a few more times, sometimes there's a saturation point where people say, oh no, I need a break. And they go off and study and they do other things. And then after about 3 days, they come back to it and it's fine. It's just that you are trying to catch up with wiring and mapping of these things. You see that you're studying. Other changes that occur are things like, oh God, I can't stand this color in this room anymore. It's driving me nuts. Oh my God, look at the closet. It's such a mess. And people go and clean everything religiously, or they will paint and redecorate, or they will throw out their old wardrobes and get new clothing. They will look at their house and see things they can't stand, which is the old life. Because what begins to happen is the quantum field begins to fall apart. So there is a very, very good piece of information in Bluebirds of Paradise about creation, how when you do your petit cafe, you don't realize this, that in the vacuous space over Earth, where there's still just as much black outer space as there is in outer space, but you cannot see it because we have the oxygen molecule, the hydrogen molecule, you've got the ionosphere, you've got molecular life all around us floating through your room. You know, you have oxygen, you're breathing. You cannot see the negative space anymore. So what happens is when you do your petit cafe and you're firing in your brain, you're gamma firing, it is as if you are taking a match and striking it on that vacuum of the black space that's still hidden in there, negative space. And what happens is it begins to form like fire in space turns round, it goes ultraviolet, and it begins to be held there as if fueled from this, like stars are, substance that is on fire in space and is self-fueling, and it interacts with where it came from, the negative space you see at the vacuum. So our creation is like that in the subatomic realm. And then what you have is you have the beginning of the descent of subatomic particle formation from the 0 point field that you actually engage in cosmic outer space all around you down here. And you have the beginning of the manifestation of program that you are ordering from the order of the day into reality. Now, there is more about this in the live event, Quantum Wealth, the second one after the first event that has the beginning of the quantum mindset tools and quantum slip. And so it's very, very profound when you go to the live event because you will learn the science of manifestation, you see, of the great alchemists, I call them, that create from the ether. Because it comes down from the ether, from the vacuous space all around us that is contained, that is containing us on this planet. And so it begins to happen. And when that happens, your whole reality is now changed because those little orders of the day have huge ramifications, some of them, to your life. So old relationships fall away sometimes, jobs, living arrangements, everything. And, it hits you. And so people who are afraid of change stay tense, stay sick, stay in jobs they don't like, stay in relationships they don't like. And there's not really much we can do. And people who study quantum minded tools, their whole lives change. And usually change for the better. It's a refined life. It's a refinement. Just as your cells get refined, your life becomes refined. Everything becomes more refined around you. And it has a metabolic effect of you revving up your mitochondrial action, the energy delivery to the cell, having more energy. So all of this begins to form a new life, you see. And if you've been extraterrestrially engaged and they are supportive of your healing, then you heal very, very quickly. And you don't need anybody else's DNA, perhaps a bit of meiotic stem, which everybody's been getting. And that's about it. You are self-sufficient and you heal quickly. So it's a fascinating process, and that is why sometimes you will go off for a few days, but definitely come back to it to keep the process going. Because the other problematic situation that occurs with people who do not do this work or any work and are basically on the aging and death cycle and disease, what happens is their observer gets so bored that came from all this stuff that I'm telling you about and knew how to do a lot of it thousands of years ago. And the life is so small here in comparison, forgetting about all this, that it begins to murder the body. It begins to murder the body out of the incarnation with disease, with arthritis, or with slowing, with aging. Murders it out because it is not flexing the nervous system and brain to blow out free radicals, aging, all of it, and to keep the mitochondria very high and functioning quickly. To be youth, longevity, to be non-aging. So it begins to allow the observer, when those nerves, what happens? You're healthy, you're young, you're flexing, you're interested, you're learning, you have a job, you're learning, you have a new relationship, you're learning, you have children, you're learning. They grow up, they move out, you retire, same wife, same situation, you're no longer learning, or very little. You may read an odd book, but for the amount of nervous firing you need, that is new information, that is wow, inspiration to the divine observer, is very little in old age. And the body, if you grow tired of the job, less firing of joyousness. Tired of the wife, tired of the kids, less firing. All begins to get smaller. Less interesting challenges, less learning, less evolution. Firing is slower. And so the nerves begin to die. And the messages to the cells is like really lousy, bad static radio or TV that's happening inside the body. And the observer says, I'm out of here. This is boring. I'm not learning anything new. I'm not evolving. I'm not God, realize. I'm not divine. I'm not God. I haven't used myself fully genetically to my full potential. So I have to shut this down because this was not supported enough in this life to map it, to know what it is, to live that way, to realize it. There's no writing on walls anymore like the ancient tombs that told us stories about what everything meant, that we took from lifetime to lifetime to remember. I don't even remember who I was last life. He doesn't know who I was. Neither does he. He doesn't even know who he was. So, hi, Fred. Weather's nice. Did you see a good movie on the weekend? Yeah. All right. Back to the office, tomorrow. And that's about it, right? So, it's nothing new. And so, the other thing is there's a program that we're told about death and aging is inevitable. So even children and great scientists, gee, like I could live forever, like I'm immortal, creating these fabulous theories and ideas, but no, you age and die. They lay there and cry. It's so unfair, and feel bitter, and they fall asleep, and the aging process kicks in because they don't know anything else. Things like that happen. So It is a murder in there if it has that program or if it is bored and the nerves and the brain aren't firing enough. So that is one of the things that is good to remember when you have the oversaturation. Oh, I don't want to do it anymore. I haven't studied in 3 days. No, it's 3 weeks. And it's sort of coming back to life. The divine observer that is watching, waiting to fire higher. No, I'm not going to fire higher today. Body's feeling sluggish still, detoxing. Yeah, no, maybe tomorrow. I'll watch TV. But just stay here. Watch television. I don't feel like it. You know this, and then the nerves are like, no, we don't feel like it. And then the observer's like, oh God, gee, my Merkaba's a bit slower. Oh, I should have taken a month off. You know, this kind of thing happens. So do you understand what you're managing? You're managing your brain and nerve system from high firing to sluggishness. Sluggishness that is comes with being exhausted from schedules. And the funny thing is you can sit and do a Blue Matrix Energetics Merkaba for 15 minutes. It's like a 2-hour nap. And you go, make dinner, take care of the kids, friends come over for cocktails, you're up to like 2 o'clock in the morning. You're like, I have to go to work tomorrow. Oh, get out of here. You go to sleep for a few hours, wake up, oh God, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Oh no, I can't go to work. No, sit up, do Merkaba for 15 minutes. Wow, I'm so refreshed. I feel like I slept another 3 hours. You were off and you're fine. Not the bags under the eyes, you see. So it helps you through things like that. So your body is simply adjusting biologically to new information. That's all it is. You get that fatigue or tiredness or pumped up. And the ETs do that to us too some days. And we're managing. So all we ask them is please support us in our awakening. Do not allow the devil to maim our bodies or to play little torture games. Because certainly the attention-seeking behavior for being evil and being known as that for thousands of years over Earth and being popular as it, and enabling you and giving you power to scare people so that they're more scared than able to go forward is a self-indulgent, gluttonous thing, which means you should be wearing a pig snout for the rest of your existence as it, with a little elastic around your face. Are you? Until you're finished wielding it, okay? Because I'm really tired of it. Being are your son who plays devil, the devil's game that I told you about in Wars in the Skies. And otherwise, he's a very brilliant being, so I give him hell when it's running too long. It was running through here today as well, and I didn't like it. Stinky. Good night.